is it that concerns you today as a CEO of a large corporation with global operations, looking at internal challenges as well as the external uncertainties? I mean, we're living in a volatile and uncertain world. As a CEO, on your dashboard, in order of priority, what are the key risks?
Well, I think for me, a key risk and a priority for us is safety. So the top priority that we have as a company is standing for safety. And the fact is that we every day are offering 15 million rides. Okay? And this is 15 million times in which a rider is stepping into a vehicle of one sort or the other and putting their lives in the hands of a driver. And it's when a driver has to trust that a stranger comes into their livelihood and you know, serves that stranger well, but that stranger respects them and treats their car and treats them with the kind of respect that any entrepreneur should have. 15 million every day is a lot. And it's very, very important for us to create the safest environment that we can, both for a rider and driver. And that's what keeps me up every day, because when you're serving that many rides, and it's going to be 30 million before we know it, after that it'll be 50 million a day after that, things are bound to happen, and the challenge for us using data and using identity to create a high quality of service every single time, that is going to be a key to our success. But it's also a responsibility that we owe to our driver partners in our community and our rider community. You
know, since you talked about security and you talked about localization earlier, in the Indian context, security, of course, is the top priority that Uber needs to focus on, given what's happened in the past. What more can we expect? You've introduced things like the SOS button and so on and so forth. What more can we expect from Uber in terms of ensuring that there is 100% security every time you take a ride?
I think, listen, the most important factor for us is to use our data, and we've got the best data scientists in the world, to understand, for example, how a driver is driving and whether or not their actual driving is creating any alarm bells, as far as have they been driving for too many hours, are there safety issues, are they swerving one way or the other. So actually making driving more safe is a big, big deal. Over 1 million people die every year in terms of accidents on the road. And I believe that we can use our data when the car is on the move much more effectively. Ultimately, that's going to be augmented by autonomous driving, which represents a technology that will make the roads radically, radically safer going forward.
I want to ask you two specific questions in the context of the cultural shift that you spoke of in your opening. Transparency as well as communication with regulators around the world. You know, how significant is that going to be from an expansion perspective as well? Because you're facing huge challenges, whether it's London or other parts of Europe, and you do acknowledge the fact that there was lack of transparency on the part of Uber communicating or dealing with regulators. What's going to be the big change there?
I think the big change is having a dialogue with regulators. Listen, we were busy growing, we were going forward, and I think that we were just guilty of not having real dialogue with our regulator partners and expecting the world to adjust to us, and that sometimes doesn't happen. So I can tell you that while nothing is guaranteed in life, every dialogue that we've had with regulators has been constructive, and I think ultimately what we have going for us is that every single city in the world wants mobility as a service. Every single city in the world wants to reduce pollution. Every single city in the world wants to reduce congestion in their roads and wants to improve quality of life and the mobility of their citizens, whether they live in the middle of the city or they live in areas that are more remote. That's something that we can drive as a company. So while we've had our faults in terms of how we've handled particular situations, if you step back, our company is a force for good, and I don't know any city, well, there may be some cities out there, but the vast majority of cities in the world want us playing a part in where they take mobility going forward.
Since we're talking about mobility and the future of mobility, what do you make of Hyperloop?
Of Hyperloop. Well, I like Uber Air more. It's cooler. So we're working on a technology, actually battery technology now is making it possible for us to have vertical takeoff and landing vehicles really in 5 to 6 years in pilot mode, and I think 10 years.
5 to 6 years in pilot mode?
5 to 6 years pilot, and I think 10 years commercializing it. And why spend billions digging a tunnel when you can take to the air?
So let me ask you, who is the leader that inspires you today?
I think Jeff Bezos is an incredible leader for Amazon. I think he's built a founder who can scale the way that he's scaled, a founder who can succeed across different products that he's built, and a founder who takes failure in stride and just keeps innovating is someone who is worthy of great admiration. If we can be the Amazon of mobility, then I think we have a win on our hands.
The Amazon of mobility, that's the vision that you have for Uber. So I'll end then by asking you, Dara, you said it looked messy and it was messy. This is when you got into Uber.
Yeah.
On the messy scale, where are things today?
You know, the mop is still soaking, but it's getting better.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Dara. We wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us here in Delhi.
Thank you so much. Thank you.